Hello there YouTube, Devin here again, and today I have a video on a piece of equipment for you. A piece of equipment I just got today, actually. I've been waiting on it for quite a while because I've recently seen these come back on the market in limited quantities. They're pretty similar to a lot of other countries, so you could pass one off probably as a different one, but what I got here for you is an unused Swiss World War II entrenching tool. The entrenching tool itself was made in 43 and the cover itself was made in 42. Both are unused, and it's just an overall really good design. So we'll get into it here. I'll open up the cover and we'll take a look at that first. So, alright. Now, the cover, as with most Swiss stuff, is incredibly overbuilt, incredibly well designed, and just overall super nice. This one, as you can see, there's the stamp on it, both of them, the Swiss acceptance mark and who made it and the year. As you can see, the rivets on it are still very shiny and new. They came with this storage blue shit over them to keep them from corroding, so I brushed most of that off. I hydrated the leather because it was pretty dry, and now you can see it's got some flex to it, which is just excellent. Very, very shiny. This isn't the cover it came with. The cover it came with was actually much more beaten up. Still new, but it just wasn't stored as well. It wasn't finished as well, and that one was made in 1941, that cover was. So I have this spare cover laying around because I've been hoping to get a Swissy tool for a while, and I've had the cover for one laying around. But it's all reinforced riveted. It's got thick, heavy cotton stitching around the edge of it. You slide it into it like an envelope, and you can attach this to your belt or your packs via the keyhole and studs there. In the leather, as with most Swiss gear, these e-tools were used up until the 80s. These were issued, actually, these World War II style ones, which hadn't really changed much since the early 1900s. They actually look very reminiscent of the e-tools used by Austria, Germany, Russia. Though you'll see what I mean here if you have a big e-tool collection. What I mean. So we'll get the cover out of here and we'll look at the e-tool now. Now, the e-tool itself is made out of very thick steel. It's painted black. It's heavy. It's got a very nice edge on it, actually. The handle is attached. The front part of the handle is held in is part of the blade, but the back half of the handle is riveted in place. It's the spade shape, and it's held in place with 5 rivets that go through the entire thing. And the handle isn't held on with anything other than tension. So the wood handle is painted black up to here. And what they do to put these on is this locking collar would be just hammered up onto the collar. You would fit the wood handle in there, and then you would hammer the locking collar back down, and it would cause the two tapers here of the handle to kind of grab the wood. So it's not held in with anything other than tension. But as you can see, it's the same kind of finish that you see on the later. The handle's finished as you would see later on the newer Swiss e-tools, the folding type ones. They have this kind of octagonal grooves cut in it, the nice round handle. Now, the original ones from World War I and kind of early World War II, until about the 50s, would have came with a smooth handle and a smaller bulb on the end. They wouldn't have had these little grips in it. This handle was replaced at some point, but it's still not uncommon to find them with this later handle, which I find to be much more comfortable anyways. But if you see one that doesn't have this handle and it has a kind of less pronounced handle that's smooth finished, that's correct. That's the original handle they would have had. Now, if you look at it, it's the same as you find in the German World War I e-tools, the same as the Austrian ones, same as the ones the Russians used in both World Wars. It's a very, very classic design. It's got a lot of heft to it. Again, the e-tool is one of my favorite tools because they actually pack really well. They're quite light. The Swiss ones are actually not quite light. while I'm talking about it, I'll show you the stamp there so you can see it when it was made and who made it. But the Swiss ones are not light. They're very, very heavy. They're very, very overbuilt, and that's actually really, really good. But I like e-tools because they pack really, really well, and you can use them for pretty much anything your heart content. Not only is it a shovel, but it's also a frying pan. It's also an axe. It's also a hammer. It's an excellent throwing weapon. It's anything your imagination can come up with on this. It can really be used for. It can be used as a knife. Some of them are serrated to use as a saw even. Its possibilities are limitless, and I believe these have a lot more functions in them than just a knife, because if you sharpen one edge of these well enough, it is a knife. And it's just going to be a lot more practical for you out in the woods and with everyday use than just a regular knife. Even though it's heavier, I think it's a welcome switch to carry an e-tool like this rather than the knife. And there's just something about these like fixed-handled ones that aren't folding that I just like so much better. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's just less to go wrong, I think. They don't pack as nice. They're usually a lot longer, but they just are so much simpler, and they swing so much better, and they're just easier to use because you just pull it out and it's ready to go. You don't need to do anything to it. You don't need to twist with it, but it can limit it in some ways, and a lot of the folding ones can be used as a pickaxe, whereas this one cannot. So, but it's just, you know, what do you come down to? I personally prefer the straight ones like this, the older style, before everyone went to the folding ones, a lot better. But that's just my personal preference. So hopefully you guys like this video. You subscribe if you like this sort of thing. I'd very much like to hear about your user experiences, what your preferences are in e-tools, what you've used your e-tools for other than being a shovel. I'd very much like to hear your stories about that, what your favorite e-tool is. If you've ever used one of these Swiss ones or anything like that or something similar, I'd very much like to know about that in the comments. And I'm sure other people that will be watching this video in the future would very much like to hear about your experiences in the comments as well if they're looking to buy one. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.